Hey Tom, you there?
Hey, Will, how are you doing? Good to see you. I'm going to stop sharing the countdown screen. Yeah, we're slightly early, but hey, let's go. Good to see you joining us from the car. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We are here today, as I'm sure you already know, to talk about the launch of Pencil on Google Cloud Marketplace, which we have just published the launch to our website this morning. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about what Google Cloud Marketplace is and what it means for not just Pencil, but also for enterprise marketing leaders generally, and the state of AI in marketing, I guess, and what these kinds of developments mean for the industry at large. So, Will, thanks so much for jumping on. How are you doing?
Very good. Pleasure as always. Hey Tom.
Excellent. Good stuff. All right. So look, shall we just crack on then? Like just off the top, what does this mean for enterprise marketing leaders who are thinking about deploying AI? Why do we feel like it's a big deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this year is very much the year of scaling or trying to scale Gen AI experiments for enterprise marketers. And scaling is always a matter of prioritization, risk reduction, um, lowering friction, and driving adoption. And I think that partnering with Google on a go-to-market for Pencil through the marketplace just kind of ticks a lot of boxes for enterprise marketers in those respects. We can talk a little bit more about the specifics, but we're really excited about it. Google is really excited about it, and we think this is it's kind of a key moment for us as it relates to getting to enterprise scale with marketing teams.
Yeah, I guess that relationship with Google is very important to us, and it's almost cyclical, right? Because we've got to, we give people access to the top models that Google are producing. We aggregate all of the top models, as you know, but we also have this kind of relationship with them at an enterprise level, and I guess that is quite a big deal for us in terms of scale, right? We can scale quickly thanks to this kind of distribution pathway with Google.
Yeah, I mean, I think Google is just a really interesting player in the Gen AI landscape because they they align with us in a lot of ways. Hence the strong partnership because they're big on cloud, they're big on ads, and they're big on AI. And there's only so many companies out there that are big on all three. And I think that enterprise marketers looking to scale Gen AI, obviously, they need the cloud and the compute side. Some of them need more dedicated or private kind of provisioning. They obviously want what they're building in Gen AI to integrate deeply into their ads ecosystem and drive ROI that way. And then obviously they want the latest and greatest models. And Google has already a great track record of releasing, really, market changing, capable models. So being able to kind of tick three technical boxes all at once with Pencil and Google, I think is compelling on its own before you get to some of the operational benefits of adopting through the marketplace.
Yeah, so should we get into that then? Because that's what I was going to come on to ask you about. Like, like the benefit here, really, a lot of the people we're going to be talking to with this kind of announcement is procurement teams, right? And
Mhm.
it's like, what exactly is the benefit here for people in procurement teams? Is it just a question of speed to execution, basically?
Yeah. I mean, so I think at first Google Cloud Marketplace feels a bit like an app store, and for like nobody. What's interesting about it is enterprise IT departments, enterprise organizations have committed to Google Cloud a certain amount of compute, a certain amount of infrastructure over usually a multi-year period, and by Pencil being in the Google Cloud Marketplace, it means that using and adopting Pencil can burn down that pre-commitment they've made to Google. So it basically means that they've kind of spent the budget already, and we're giving
Right.
them an opportunity to burn it down. Uh, so I think that obviously has a commercial impact in that the budgeting and the funding is kind of already taken care of, but it also has an operational and procurement, benefit. They've already kind of pre-negotiated their deals with Google. They already have signed up to certain terms and ways of working with Google, and we're compliant with those, as a partner within the cloud marketplace. I think we can talk more about all of that stuff, which I think is massive on its own. But I think another angle on this, which is also interesting, because I'm having discussions with clients about this week, is the build versus buy question in the minds of enterprise teams, because GenAI, even for a marketing context like Pencil, is increasingly not a single stakeholder buying decision, right? Like, lots of teams are excited about GenAI. They have their own initiatives, and it can become quite difficult internally, right, to get any one application partner, etc., to scale when every team is kind of doing their own thing. And some teams want to build, rightly so. IT teams in particular want to build. It's easier than ever to build with GenAI. There's this real sense of importance in IP development, that you don't want to outsource too much of it. You want to build stuff in-house. There's this incredible opportunity to build very bespoke things that whether from a CapEx or an IP perspective is valuable to the organization. But also there's this realization that building anything from scratch, it takes time and involves rebuilding things which really you shouldn't build. And you got to build a lot of fundamental things before you can get to the exciting stuff in terms of actually having impact with GenAI. So, something like having Pencil in the Google Cloud Marketplace is just one step closer to the ideal solution, right? Where you can build what you want to build and you can buy what you need to buy. And I think that a lot of enterprise clients are going to find that, really compelling in getting lots of different teams, IT and marketing, for example, and procurement and legal, all on the same page about a scaled partner. Or a scaled model between Pencil and Google that everybody can kind of get on board with, and we're seeing some really interesting traction in that regard.
Yeah, I guess it's like you've obviously got there's an article that we're publishing from that you've written on the Drum, where we're sort of talking about this idea that AI is moving beyond the pilot phase, right? And that we are starting to get these greater degrees of standardization that enterprises are going to demand, right? That there needs to be kind of a minimum level of, like infrastructure, compliance, all of these things that, like you say, they're not especially sexy, but actually you need them all before enterprises are going to take this kind of technology seriously, right?
Yeah, I think that everyone's taking it seriously.
Yeah, maybe that's a wrong choice of words.
Yeah. No, they're definitely taking it seriously. I think that the challenges now are being overcome in lots of ways. I think that the question about, why is it valuable for an enterprise to get GenAI adopted at scale quickly, as opposed to over a 5 or 10 year period, right? Like, everybody is in a bit of a rush. Why is that, right? And it's not just because it's hype, right? And everyone's doing it, so we should do it too. It's not. I think that there's an element of, oh my God, this is a fundamental technology. Like, we gotta get our heads around this, right, before it disrupts us. But I think everybody gets that. That's more of an anxiety thing. The reason I think organizations are trying to move quickly at this is because there's a clear path to competitive advantage in adopting GenAI in marketing, right? Just the marketing domain. Like, organizations that spend $1 billion a year on marketing maybe spend, the classic 20-80 split, where 80% goes to media, 20% goes to content production. If they can take that 200 million that they spend on content production and save, 50%, 100 million. They can redeploy that back into the media side, and they can grow market share, or they can take it to the bottom line and give it back to shareholders. Now, I think everybody's going to grow market share because that's the long-term bet, as opposed to just taking it as a cost saving, which is a different topic. But I think that is what's driving urgency, right? There's an opportunity here to adopt the technology and turn it into meaningful competitive advantage, whether you're selling toothpaste or cars or insurance. And I think that is what's driving speed, and that is what's driving pathways to get the adoption done in ways that are low risk, really obvious, get lots of teams aligned, bring in big partners like Google, leverage existing kind of infrastructure commitments things like Google Cloud and just get on with it. Lay the groundwork very, very quickly. And I think that this partnership with Google on Cloud Marketplace really helps us satisfy that.
Nice. So you mentioned low risk, and I feel like that's quite a big part of this, right? Like you're taking away a lot of risk by, it's almost like a symbol of trust being, on Google Cloud Marketplace. It's like obviously an incredibly recognizable, like massive business. Like, do you think that there is a signal here of high trust, low risk associated with being listed on Cloud Marketplace?
Yeah, I mean, the criteria is that you have to be built as an application on Google Cloud, which we are, and lots of folks are, and you're vetted by Google in terms of your pricing, your forecast, the technology you use, the way you built the application, and all that kind of stuff. So risk is reduced in that kind of administrative sense. But I think marketing teams who are approached by Pencil or by Google, to adopt via this mechanism are going to feel an excitement from Pencil and from Google, and an ease of adoption that maybe you wouldn't if you were starting from scratch, contacting us via our website. And that's because I think the folks at Google and we have got comfortable that this is going to be a key way that enterprises want to buy and adopt with an existing trusted cloud partner who they've already made commitments to, who they already have agreements with, and a new AI partner like us that provides an application layer that is an offshoot of that. It's just it's a way of doing this. It's a shortcut. It's a faster way of doing this that offers lots of benefits. So I think you'll feel that from the Google folks and from us, and as an enterprise client, which goes beyond just the kind of administrative checklist of yes, we're on the marketplace.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so looking forward then, what are you most excited about? Do you think this partnership is going to open up lots of opportunity for us? Is there anything else that you think should be on the radar in terms of this kind of ongoing relationship that we have?
Yeah, I think it's another step in terms of the depth and the excitingness of our relationship with Google. I think that's exciting, and our ability to bring the very latest Google models and all of that increases the deeper our relationship gets with them, as it does with with other partners that we work with. I think that going back to the build versus buy topic, I think that clients that really want to build and buy are going to be excited by this. And I think that the clients that want to build are some of the most exciting we work with. I think that they want to customize things to their workflows. They want to listen to their employees and their agency partners on where the current bottlenecks in productivity are and build solutions specific to them and their organization and their sector and its needs. And I think that builders or folks that want to build signals, an additional leaning in to the whole GenAI thing. Like, we don't just want to buy something off the shelf and roll it out, which is great and it's very fast. But we really want to listen to our organization. We really want to create a new playing field that directly addresses our problems and needs and builds IP for our organization. I think that signals a lot more conviction in a client, which is exactly what we look for. I had one of our new clients ask us, what do we look for in client partners? And I said conviction about GenAI, an optimistic outlook on it, a willingness to do it in an ethical way, to make sure that folks aren't nervous about their jobs, but at the same time, organizations get productivity benefits. Like, conviction is a huge signal, a positive signal when we work with new clients. And I think that willingness to build or interest in building is a big conviction signal. And I think that having the ability to buy a foundation, buy Pencil as a blank slate and then build on top of it, I think it's just going to accelerate those folks that have a builder's mindset, and it's going to remove some of the pain and slowness that comes with having to build from scratch. So it's just like a win-win-win. So yeah, we're just really excited about it.
Brilliant. Yeah, I will just let people watching know we've got a fair few concurrent viewers now. If anybody does want to ask any questions of Will, drop them in the comments, either on YouTube or on LinkedIn. We will be wrapping fairly soon, but if you do have a question for Will, then drop one in. We had some great questions last week for Liam, our head of InfoSec. So do feel free to drop them in the comments while we're talking. But yeah, look, I appreciate what you were saying there. It seems like, your point about conviction and like confidence in the fact that humans aren't going to be kind of taken entirely out the loop, and actually that this is something that everybody in an organization should be optimistic about, I think is one that seems to resonate really well. Certainly when we're looking at the social messaging that we're putting out there. From what I can see, there seems to be a real eagerness to kind of co-create with AI. I mean, maybe that's just people self-selecting, people that are kind of following AI companies like Pencil. It may be the case, but are you seeing that kind of optimism and optimistic outlook with like the clients that you're talking to?
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. I mean, I guess the reason I'm excited about it personally is because I see this builder's mindset as a signal of optimism, and a signal that, people in organizations are looking at the technology and they're not paralyzed by fear. They're thinking, great, I can take this and I can use it over here, but we're going to have to change this, build that. Like, all of those things are signals that, people are still valuable and the people are still going to have a role. It's like, and whenever we see that, in this case, it's with, engineering and IT teams, but it's also with creative teams that look at this and think, yes, look at what I can do now. I'm immediately going to apply this over here, over here, over here. My team's going to love this. Those are the teams that kind of see the opportunity and are not as afraid. It's the folks that are like, see this and be like, oh my gosh, what's this going to mean about what I'm going to do next week? We need to give everyone a little bit more visibility on, okay, this stuff exists now. What are you going to do? What are you going to do for the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And I think that the builders who are interested in this kind of cloud marketplace mechanism for adoption see that. They see all the future problems and opportunities laid out on top of the technology and the role for people in it. So yeah. I think it's really aligned with our core mission, and I think that's one of the reasons that it excites us.
Excellent. All right. Well, look, before we wrap up then, is there anything that we haven't covered that you think we should do? Anything that you want to get out there this week before we wrap up?
Just to say to folks watching, if you want to learn more about it, you can go to the Google Cloud Marketplace and you can search for Pencil and you'll find us. It's a little kind of about us page with some pricing information, and you can contact us. You may also be contacted by your Google Cloud reps who you will know, who can talk to you about this, and they have all the collaterals and that kind of thing. And we're really excited to get some clients off the ground using this mechanism and measure how much more efficiently they feel they can adopt by adopting Pencil and AI in this way, and keeping everyone updated on whether we feel this really impacts clients' ability to scale. So thanks for everyone for their interest in this session, and please check it out.
Epic. Brilliant. All right, well, I'll just add to that you can also read more information about the partnership itself on the Pencil website, trypencil.com, but obviously if you're already on Google Cloud, then just go there. Just a reminder, we're here every week, every Tuesday, with product updates. We've got creative teams coming on. We've got people from our brand tech group friends over at Jellyfish coming on as well. So lots of good stuff happening on the Pencil LinkedIn and YouTube pages. You can also now view us inside Gradual. You will hear more about that on our social media pages very soon. So that's it from us. Thanks everybody for joining us. Will, thanks so much for jumping on. Appreciate you. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
See you, folks.